Dani Gasparini, and welcome to this segment of Penn Voice. I am joined today by Councilmember Ricardo Ortiz from the city of Burlingame. Ricardo, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So you're in your second term with Burlingame, and when you're dealing with budgets and when you're dealing with traffic and congestion, not such fun topics, but today you're coming to talk about your new community center, which is a great topic for
We're
cities.
very excited about it.
So, and I know you have a lot to do with it. So tell us a little bit about what your community center will be and a little bit about what's in it.
So we have a community center that was built in the 40s. For many reasons, we're ready to replace it. And so last year we passed Measure I, which gives us a little extra funds to be able to come up with a way to fund it. So now we're moving forward. For years now, we've been looking at different designs and getting opinions from the public and trying to get it all settled. We just a few weeks ago at the council settled on the design that we're going to go forward with. And then our architects are now moving forward with the plans, and hopefully we get this off the ground pretty soon.
And I was neglecting saying to the viewers that it is in Washington Park. So in case there's anybody that's outside of Burlingame and wasn't sure where the location we're talking about, it is in Washington Park.
Correct, and we're just replacing the existing one that's in Washington Park, and we're trying to keep the same footprint that we had because that was a big issue a few years ago when something else was proposed. Trying to protect the trees, trying to protect the park.
Right. So what are some of the things that you envision? A community center is four walls, but what a community center is what happens inside. So tell us a little bit about your plans for that.
Well, we have many different programs that we have through the rec center that we'll just continue to operate there. We are operating them at the existing building, but again, the building is just not adequate anymore. And then we have some community meeting rooms that will be used for events outside of what the rec center does. That will be up for rental. But pretty much trying to serve the community. The seniors and the children are primarily who we're working with. The design that we picked works really well with the park. So it interacts really well with the park. We have lots of windows where you can see the park outside. And so trying to kind of make it just seamless, the entrance from between the park and the building.
Right. So, and we're going to have pictures of the new design. When do you think you'll break ground, and when do you think it will be open?
That's one thing I've learned in government work.
Never say and never talk about the cost of the project.
Well, again, so the estimates right now are about 2 years out.
Okay.
By the time we get the drawings completed, everything reviewed and gone through the whole process, community outreach, then we can get started. But somewhere about two years out. And in the meantime, we can get all our financing all squared away, and which is important because we have set aside, and we have about $25 million set aside in our capital improvement fund. But the difference, we're going to have to get some bonds to float it, and some of them will be paid for by the Measure I funds that I mentioned earlier. But yeah, really exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. And
I think one of the things that, again, people will see once the design is on the TV screen is what you would call a smart building these days. It's emissions, zero emissions. It's green building. All of the things that come with new technologies and the way you heat and cool and manage your buildings today.
And it's interesting you said that. We had two finalists in the designs. One of them was the mission style, which was more traditional, looked more like our library, our train station, and our fire station. One of the reasons I chose the other one was when you added the solar panels on the mission to get to the energy efficiency that we're trying to pursue, it kind of destroyed the look a little bit.
Right.
The pavilion, the one we chose, the roofs allow for a lot more photovoltaic cells.
Right.
And they're hidden, so you can't see them. So it fits great, and the buildings, in that respect, it's a lot better for to meet our energy efficiency that we're looking for.
Right. I mean, the cost to heat and cool buildings these days is astronomical, but it's not even just the cost. It's how we want to be energy efficient in our communities, and how we think about, and starting with our public buildings is the most important place. Important place to start. So what are some of the things that you want to make sure that the community knows about your new community center and how they can help?
Well, let's talk about a little bit about the parking, because the parking
Okay.
is really important. That neighborhood, for many years, every time there's an event at the rec center, or the community center, we have a lot of issues with parking. We're adding a lot of parking. We're going to go underground, up level, at grade, and then down the street a few more parking spaces. This is very important, even though it costs a lot more to do. It's very important when you're dealing with the neighbors. You want to make sure that we're taking care of the neighborhood. Secondly, we want to make sure we're taking care of the children, because that's some of who we serve, and the seniors.
Right.
So when you're forced to park 3 blocks away, it makes
Right.
it very difficult to use the building. This way, you're going to be able to park right below and be able to take an elevator into the building. So it's going to be wonderful.
Right, and wonderful for your neighborhoods
Exactly.
as well. So where will the programs go and be displaced once you're under construction?
We will have to have temporary buildings set up. I'm not sure if it's going to be at the park. We will find alternate locations.
Right.
We can't really build if we have the temporaries right there, but they will be down the street.
Right, so it will be business as usual. They just may be in different locations.
Correct. Yes.
Right.
And so, yeah, that'll be a challenge, but that's part of what we have.
Right. Right. Well, and it's great that you mentioned parking, because I think any community always struggles, whether they have a community center or a school, is always, even the drop off and pickup of at different programs, just that queuing. So to be able to have a place where parents can safely drop off and pick up their children, or even park to go in for services, is a great.
My first house in Burlingame was between a church and a school.
Right.
And parking was always a real tricky thing. So it's good that we need to address it. And it's going to cost a little more, but I think it makes sense.
Right. So is there anything else that you'd like to share in and outside of the community center for the city of Burlingame?
Well, I just want to thank the citizens of Burlingame for passing Measure I last year that allows us to finance part of the project. And again, thank my predecessors and the current council for the forethought to save up enough. So we're paying a good portion of it out of funds that we already saved, so we don't have to borrow the whole thing. So roughly about half of it will be paid for by funds that are in the capital improvement fund. So that's wonderful. I think that says a lot about what the council has done and what past councils have done.
Right. And this is, as always with any city or any county, a community center is the hub of who what their identity is for their neighborhood. So it's great to be able to see that will be revitalized and repurposed and rethought, and bringing some great programs back to Burlingame, and being able to do it in a real energy efficient way with safety. And it just seems like a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful building that looks out to the park. It's going to be just great to have. So I'm really excited about it.
Great. Well, I look forward to being at the opening and seeing the public starting to use that community center. So, Councilmember Ortiz, thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you for having me. That was great.
Congratulations to Burlingame for being such great shepherds to be able to build this building. And we'll see all of you next time on Penn Voice.